zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it soul. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a waffle wherever the ball go. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and head home.
Welcome in, Cowboys Nation, to another Cowboy Game Day Live. We are live here from Kanvas Sports and Social. Week 12, Cowboys, Commanders, McCarthy versus Quinn. Another one of those rematches coming up. Jesse, Holley, Skywalker still. We're here again. You know how we do. Win, lose, or draw, bro. We here.
Let's go, baby. We
live. We're going to talk about it. And I love what you said on Twitter, man. Regardless of how they perform, I'm blessed to still be able to come here weekly and cover this team, man.
We get to do this. We don't have to do this. We're not, our arms aren't twisted to do this.
No.
We get to do as an occupation to talk about sports.
Love it, man.
And they pay us for it. like I don't want people to ever, this is my way of showing gratitude, man. I get to do this. And what the Cowboys record is, that's not my burden to carry.
Right.
That ain't my issue to solve.
Right.
My gratitude comes from the fact that I get to do a pre-halftime and post-game show for a living. And to get paid pretty well to do it. If you're looking for a silver lining in anything that you're doing, I get to do this.
We'll never take it for granted, and that's why each morning and each game day, we will bring that energy to you, Cowboys Nation, to the Bomb Squad, to Cowboys fans, whether the Cowboys are looking good or looking bad. And, of course, as we know, it's a bad season. It's a little ugly season. And I feel like every week something ugly or whatever happens that don't even on the field, bro. Yeah. You know, in the media or outside off the field, it's just every week it's just like, damn, can we get a break? And not a literal break, because that has happened for the Cowboys too, right? Like we're broken leg or broken bone. So it's been one of them seasons, man. But we here, bro. We here.
And we thank you guys for being here.
Oh, listen,
because if you're not here, then we can't be here. So we appreciate you all being here, sticking it in with us, with your Cowboys, through thick and thin, through good or bad, through the ugliness of it all.
I'm smiling right here because I'm trying to see how I want to tread here because, you know, when you look at the inactives, we'll get to. Before that, though, they did call up Princeton Fant this week because they're dealing with Jake Ferguson, who will be out with a concussion, which we knew he was going to be out, Friday or Thursday or so. Maybe even before that, McCarthy said so. But, you know, we were having conversations behind the scenes about specific players fighting through things and battling things, and each week it seems like a guy just pops up on this injury report. And when you look at the inactives, the name that popped up, which came out yesterday that was inactive, was Trayvon Diggs, and he's officially out in today's game. And I was shocked because I don't believe he was on the DNP all week or anything like that. Just out of nowhere it was, hey, he's not playing. And a lot of fans were like, hey, are they embracing the tank or whatever? And for me, my eyebrows raised. And for you,
like The Rock,
I can't do it. Yeah, I like I'm winking. If y'all really look at me, I can't do. My son can do it. I can't do it. But for you. You're privy to a little info of how this Trayvon Diggs thing came about, if you were able to share it with the fans.
Yeah, you know, so Trayvon Diggs wasn't on the injury report as of Friday, but sources said that Trayvon came to the coaches and to the staff and said, I can't go. I can't go. And they're like, wait, you don't want to see, you don't want to try to push through, you don't want to make it a game time decision, you know what I mean? It just was, nah, I can't go. And that rubbed a lot of people a little bit wrong in the Cowboys organization, because, you know, in these times, you're looking for those guys, you know, especially the ones who are supposed to be the leaders, and that's a whole another conversation. But, you know, looking for these guys who are your best players, the guys who you pay a boatload of money to
that part,
to go out there and perform, and for guys to come into this situation and kind of just basically turn turn down and check out at this juncture of the season, your eyebrow was raised and some of the blood pressure was raised in the building over this late I guess exit of Trayvon Diggs for this game on Sunday.
When you say, I'm looking towards, and again, like you said, the leadership thing is a whole separate conversation, but put that to the side. Just my best players.
Yeah.
Right? Like I need to know that my best players are going to give it everything they can possibly give it. You saw, we talk about Zach Martin, who's not going to play today.
Right.
My guy tried. He tried. His damnedest to go out on his shield. He won't be able to do it today. We'll see what happens the rest of the season. You got other guys who wanted to get out there during, times that they were injured. Then they go back out there. They're still injured. They're still hurt. They're still with things around them. They're still playing. So whether you're a leader or whether you're getting paid $1 bajillion, if you are considered one of my best players, I need to know that you're going to give it everything you got to get out there. And for instance, Deron Bland, he tried to go and had a setback.
Right.
I can live with you having a setback because you tried to give it a go than just saying, you know what, man, I'm good today. I'm good this week.
No, and you're absolutely right. And again, when the ship is sinking, right, and everything is going bad, you're looking for guys to get their pail and try to get water off of the boat, right? Not guys who are drilling more holes in the boat so that this thing sinks faster. And so the Cowboys are looking around for guys to say, hey, who is going to be here with us with their bucket and their pail and trying to get this water out of this sinking ship and not look around and go, hey, I ain't the captain of this thing. I'm self-preservation. I'm gonna grab my life raft and I'm gonna go over here and jump off and nobody can get on the door with me. To give you a Titanic reference, I'm gonna grab a piece of this door and I'm gonna float myself away. But for the rest of y'all, that's and this is and like I said, this is something that's kind of rubbed a lot of people, players, personnel, staff, coaches, people at the Star. It's rubbed them a little bit of the wrong way because you're looking for guys that want to run into this thing and try to salvage it, not guys who are looking to, and I do my air quotes if you're not watching us, check out.
I think internally they should be investigating. Not when I say investigate, I don't mean like there's some criminal activity, but just looking a little bit deeper into this and having possibly a conversation moving forward. Because I said this to you and I'll say it publicly. Again, I don't know everything yet. I need to do my own homework on this as well. But if what we think has happened is true, that is damning moving forward. I don't care who the next coach is. I don't care GM. I don't care. That can't. I don't think that can be in a locker room. I think you need to possibly look into that and say, hey, is this how it's going to be if things go bad, or if you ain't fit? If this how it's going to be, then we need to have a conversation about maybe something else working out for you and us. In my opinion.
No, I'm with you, and I agree with you.
A la Jalen Ramsey. That's what I'm saying.
But I also think and believe that the league is different. The players in this league are different.
Sure.
And so sometimes when we look at certain things as, boy, that could be, sometimes a lot of people in these locker rooms go, oh, well. And it doesn't matter. And maybe because they just don't care, maybe because some of them are participating in some of those type of things, but just overall, the push towards something like that to be a talking point in the locker room, for somebody to have to go and say something to you or check you or whatever that may be. Now, just feel how you feel about men checking men in locker room, stuff like that. But that goes down in the really healthy locker rooms.
Right.
I don't know if this locker room is at a place or healthy enough where those type of issues are even checked because of the community of what it is in the locker room right now.
The culture. Let's talk. And that obviously starts from the top. With this specific situation, if I got to check you to play, I don't want to have that conversation. I don't need to have it. Let's just move on. In my opinion, that you're a football player.
Yeah.
Football players play football, right? They push through and they fight through these things if it's nothing that's hurting you, right? You, for instance, maybe we'll bring it up. We'll see. But you talked about the difference between playing injured and playing hurt.
Yeah.
Right. Like 99.9% of these players are playing hurt. Correct?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
They're playing hurt and pushing through. If you can't do that, then we'll have like you you said, we'll have that conversation of, hey, do you understand the difference of that?
Right.
But this doesn't seem to be that way. This seems to be, I'm checked out. I got the bag. I'm the guy, right? I'm good. And who's going to check me?
Right.
Who's going to say anything to me? I don't even. All right, bet I don't need to check you. You can go be checked somewhere else, because that when you are the best player in that room, right? Potentially, I mean, let's be real. In that entire DB room,
right?
Everybody's looking up and seeing that. And that sets a bad example to me.
No, you're absolutely right, and it does set a bad example. But again, these are the things that it is hard to check a dude or dudes in a locker room when they have things that you have done that's gone unchecked. So when you try to check me for something, I go, ain't you the same dude that did? And I may not have been the same thing, but it's been something else that may have been detrimental to the overall productivity of a team. And that goes back to that culture. That goes back to that thing where it's not a great enough standard that's being held in the locker room where, you know, guys can go to another guy and go, that's wrong. Because he's going to turn around and go, oh, ain't that the pot calling the kettle black? Ain't you the same one that did?
Forget the player doing it. This to me starts at the top. Where's my general manager? Where's my coaches that steps in? Because if you hear what I'm talking about here, I'm talking about moving forward. If that's that's a general manager coaching situation where I can't have that festering in my locker room. I just can't. So, but who's the general manager?
Right.
Who's the coach? A guy who might not be here next year.
And then we go back to this thing. We talked about this before: talent versus tolerance. Right? There's always that talent versus tolerance. Right? And now, again, what culture are you trying to set? Mm-hmm. Because if you're trying to set a culture of winning culture, then the talent doesn't matter, because we're no longer tolerating this. But if you tolerate this, and I'll give you an example that I know personally. I always go back to the Dez Bryant situation, right?
Yeah.
When Dez came into the league and the things that Dez was allowed to do, I was closely I was closely attached to Dez his first 2 years in the league. Closely attached to Dez, as far as in the building, not outside the building, but in the building. I know the thing that they allowed Dez to do. I know the things that were not checked from top down, or when it was checked, those that were checking were kind of, hey, right? And so now that was looked at as something different, because there was a period of time when he was the best receiver in the National Football League, one of the most unstoppable forces in the National Football League. And then you fast forward to when your skills diminish. Mm-hmm. Now the skills is diminished, and you aren't that guy, but you're still doing the same things that we allowed from the top.
Because you're talented.
Because you're talented. Mm-hmm. We allowed, and we called it something different. We called it passion. We called it enthusiasm. We called it those things. And then when the talent wasn't what we needed it to be, couple that with the money that we were paying you, you became a distraction. And you became a nuisance, and you became a pest. And so the same things that you allowed in year 1 and 2 and 3, all of a sudden now in year 6, they became an issue. So it goes back to that talent versus tolerance situation in the locker room. And again, when you're talking about high caliber guys, you know this, I know this. If you fans don't understand this, when you start talking about the guys who have the big contract numbers, and this is the part where your head coach has been, and this goes on for a long time, where your head coach is emasculated, where he's neutered, because you don't get to deal with those guys.
And he tried to do it with Zeke.
You don't get to deal with those guys. The guys that they pay a bunch of money to, you don't get to control how you and when what. You know, you don't get to deal with that. The general manager does. And so when he says, oh, no. That's a $90 million contract, dude. The hell you are putting him, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are the type of things that's
just my guy.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
And so things are looked at differently than when you're dealing with the Jesse Hollies of the world. I'm nothing. But when I pay you $90 million, or I pay you $60 million a year, or $30 million a year, or what have you, or you're my guy, Now you have these two conflicting battles.
That's what concerns me moving forward. There's going to be a new coach here. There's probably going to be a new defensive coordinator, whatever. If that coach doesn't want that type of mentality in the locker room and on the team, will he be neutered? Will he have the power to say, "Hey man, let's flip this. Let's move on from someone who doesn't want to play when it's not going their way?" Because that all it comes back to that for me. You can have all this nonsense going on that you want off the field, but if you don't want to play because things aren't going your way, I can't. That's the one thing I cannot have on this football team. Because guess what? Kalen Carson's a guy who's also inactive today, and a guy who's probably looking up to a Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah.
And what do you think he's thinking? Again, this could be the brand, the star, the being a Cowboy. What do you think he's thinking? Looking at the guy in that room that's getting paid the money, that's the all-pro, that's saying, "Not today, y'all."
Yeah. No, trust me.
It's a scary thought.
It is a very scary thought. You said that made me think back to my rookie year. I'm in the wide receiver room with Chad Ochocinco, TJ Hushmanzada, and Chris Henry, right?
It's talent, man.
Super talented, but my introduction to the National Football League was I watched Chad Johnson answer a phone call in a meeting. I'm like, wait, what? Like, the phone rang, and I got scared. And I'm like, I know my phone ain't in this meeting room. But he answered the phone. I watched TJ Hushmanzada tell the wide receiver coach, "Hey, coach, if you don't show this same piece of film again, I won't tell the rest of the guys you don't know what you're talking about." What? I watched a star player. I watched a star player at halftime choke a coach in a game at the halftime of a Monday night or Sunday night football game.
Trail Sprewell style.
Choked him into a locker. My rookie year. And I'm like, this. And that shifted my mind. Now, I'm smart enough to know
not to do that.
You ain't them. You ain't the first round pick. You ain't the franchise guy. You ain't this. You ain't that. But these type of things, if you don't have the right mentality, can shape your mind. Because if Kalen Carson, excuse me, if he goes on to be the next guy that gets a contract, he doesn't forget that. He doesn't
100%.
He doesn't forget this is how what they gonna do to me. I saw what happened to the last dude who was here and got a chance to do this, and they did nothing to him.
I had a conversation with Brian McFadden a few years ago, Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers, and he talked about the importance of that type of veteran leadership, because he said he walked into a locker room where he had guys who were like a Trayvon Diggs, who were proven guys. Some of them weren't. Some of them were still just veteran dudes, but there was some of the Troy Palomalus in there as well, right? And it helped him and some of these young guys when they said, "Hey, it's Tuesday or it's Monday, it's an off day, but I need y'all to come in here at 6 o'clock to get this workout in, to get this film study in, to get XYZ in." That helped shape that locker room, helped shape him and teach him how to be a leader when he became a veteran. And that's why, and that stuck with me for a while. And it wasn't just that position. He talked about others. And the funny thing is, it was actually we had this conversation, the draft that Diggs was coming out. But that type of leadership or assertiveness to be that type of leader is really, I think, and you know what, I don't even want to use the word leader, just that type of, hey man, this is what it's going to take. Accountability, yes. This is what it's going to take. And if you are like, I'm taking the day off, what, again, not just Kalen, maybe Duron.
Right.
Let's use Duron, because Duron's up for the next contract. Duron might be like, you know what, man, maybe I'm not, maybe I don't need to play, today, or maybe I don't need to go out and practice. So that just concerns me moving forward. And again, that's why I said I got to do more work, more internal investigation, because if that is the case, we just checking out like that for real to not play, I don't want that in my locker room, Jesse.
No, but we talked for the last couple of weeks about, what is it? Is there quit? Is there give up? Is there this? And I said this a couple of weeks ago. I said, what it looks like on Sunday, because
it's just what happens, you say, through the week, right?
It happens throughout the week. Yeah. Because there's no way that we're in week 11, week 12 of the NFL season, and you have a head coach or whoever comes to the podium, a defensive coordinator comes to the podium, and we're still talking about the same things. We're still talking about week 1 stuff. We're still talking about practicing hard. Practice, not a game. Playoffs. Like, we're still talking about those things. We're still talking about guys playing hero ball. We're still talking about guys knowing what to do. We're still talking about guys lining up in the proper place. We're still talking about, guys getting penalties. Like, wait a second. Whoa. We're in week 11.
Yeah.
We're in week 11, and we're still having these back to the basic conversations. That for me, that tells me that they've tuned you out.
Yeah.
Monday through Saturday. You've been tuned out. And now we're seeing the results on Sunday. The world is privy to the results on Sunday. And these type of things, because the old quote is either you're coaching it or you're allowing it. So when we see this team be heavily penalized,
they always say, we don't coach penalties.
We don't, but you're allowing it.
You're allowing it, yeah.
You're allowing this to go on because the same things keep happening over and over and over. And it has nothing to do with who's hurt, who's injured, nothing that. Because if my job, now, if you told me that if my job was to be in the A gap, and I'm in the A gap and I just get whooped, that just tells me, hey, we're there.
I ain't good enough.
We don't have the Jimmys and Joes. You know what I'm saying? Which in some aspects,
there's a lot of that.
Right? But it takes zero talent to be where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
It takes zero talent to read your keys. It takes zero talent to know what the check is or what the change of the play is if we happen to change a play. It has talent has nothing to do with you knowing where to be. That's all intellect and want to. That's study habits. And so when we constantly see these things happening week in and week out on the football field, to me, that tells me that they've tuned you out. They've checked out mentally, right? And people are going to say, well, it doesn't look that way on the field. Well, a lot of these guys, 30-something of these guys are on expiring deals.
Yeah, a good chunk of them.
A good chunk of them. So a lot of them are still trying to go out there at least to show face. We use Trayvon Diggs, for example. He's not a guy that's worried about that. You know what he's worried about? He's worried about, hey, I ain't trying to go back on the injury list. Because what's going to happen is at the end of this year, if they IR me or if they do something like that, one, my pay goes down. Two, now I got to be here in the offseason, right? If I go out there and I hurt my shoulder and I'm on the IR and I look at, this is, I hope and pray for speedy recovery, but I look at a guy like Marquise Bell who had to have shoulder surgery. Well, guess what? If Marquise Bell had any offseason plans about him going and doing something like that, brother, you're going to spend all your offseason at the start. You got to rehab and get healthy. That's a requirement. You know what I'm saying? You don't get a chance to, you'll have some days off, but you got to be at the start every single day. You can't go and live at your Miami house. You can't go and live in your Houston house. You can't live in your California house this offseason and then show back up when it's OTAs. You know what I'm saying? So guys, and I've been around them, I've played with them, think that way.
Dang. That's a humbling thing to hear, but it's reality too, right? There's a lot of reality to these players that we aren't privy to as fans, like that.
Right.
Like, hey, I want to have an off season. I don't want to study. I don't want to be in rehab all off season. Tyler Smith, Zach Martin will be out as well. I don't think they'll be IR to the point of rehab off season, but they're dealing with stuff. I think Zach two ankles, so he's not playing.
Yeah, two ankles and the shoulder arm situation.
Yeah, which, by the way, he probably gonna retire anyway.
Yeah.
Tyler Smith, I had this joke of shutting down some of these top guys if they're dealing with some stuff, but I don't think Tyler's the type of guy that's going to try to shut it down.
No.
Tyler's going to try to push through, but he can't do it. Jake Ferguson's out with the concussion, and Tyrus Wheat is out as an inactive. They did sign Chumle Doga to the active roster, and Marshawn Nealon is pulled up. So, I was talking about a couple of these guys that may play this weekend, Cooks, Nealon, and Deron Bland. The guy I think that needs it the most is Marshawn Nealon. I think he needed to come back and get as many reps as he can as a young rookie, whether good or bad, so you can get it on film, learn how to do this XYZ better or what not to do moving forward. If he had missed the rest of the season, that would have sucked for this young man, because now we're coming, again, maybe a new coach who may not want him and only has 5 games of film on him. Now I can get more. So I'm really looking forward to him. I'm not saying I'm not looking forward to Deron Bland. I'm worried, about Deron Bland, because a foot injury, had a setback already. Risk versus reward, I don't know about it for Deron Bland. I appreciate him, pushing through, but as a fan, not going to lie to you, I'm worried that a foot. I watched what it did to Des Bryant. I watched what it did to Jordan Lewis last year, and it's to start out in last year. I don't want the same thing to happen to DB. I hope right? I hope that he's okay, but I'd imagine he will be on the pitch count. At least I hope he will be.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, but like there's situations where you look at Deron Bland and you go, these type of foot injuries derail careers.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like this can take your career to a whole nother place that you can never come out from. You know what I'm saying? Because if you become a DB who coaches in front office people believe can't plant and cut and do what you need to do, they want no parts of you, right? And so a part of me looks at the Deron Bland situation, who's in the contract year.
Well, next year.
Well, next year.
Yeah, but he can be extended.
He can extend it this, you know. So you want to go out there and put some stuff on the field, but man, like these are type of injuries when you look at and you go, I sure hope that he's 100%, and not that he's not that he's putting the pressure on himself to say I gotta get back because I'm telling you, another setback like this, another sort of break or something like that, that can derail a cornerback's career and put you on the outs real soon, well before you're supposed to be on the outs. So I hope, and like I said, I hope mentally and physically that he is 1,000% ready to go, and not that he's just trying to get back because he wants to play.
And if there's any discomfort, just shut it down for his sake. Yeah, you know, because you don't want to get into again a Dez Bryant, because I think that it'll alter his career.
Oh yeah,
I think that
100%.
In 2015 he tried to fight through it, and he comes out and always says it. I mean, he says don't play injured.
Yeah.
He flat out tell these players don't do it, at least not in Dallas, because it won't be appreciated in that sense.
And no organization.
Well, right. It's probably no organization. Probably right.
Dez learned a real tough and unfortunate situation. He understood the difference between family and business. Dez was under the impression that they were family, and then he found out that this is actually a business. Yeah. And when you can't give us what we need as a player, your last name is Bryant, my last name is Jones. We are not family.
Man, you got to be careful when companies throw that family thing out there.
Yeah.
That's how they try to get you. Man, in any profession.
We're not family.
In any profession. Oh, we treat you just like family. Don't patronize me. No, I don't need you to tell me that, man. I don't need you to
may
tell
be
me
kind to me, you may like me, but let me do something that's against your bottom line. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, if I do something that you don't like, you kick me out. I'm not your family. Because if your daughter did it or your son did it, you love them again. You forgive them and you bring them back in the fold. You ain't writing them out your will. I do something or I'm not performing up to your expectation.
Gone.
See ya.
Especially when the right-hand man who is really family don't fool with you like that. And one Stephen Jones. You could argue they must have been fooled with McCarthy. Because if you look at, and Dan Quinn's one of those guys who brings up family a lot, but Dan's a player's coach, right? And Dan goes on to Washington, and today he'll get a chance to go at Mike McCarthy, who, if you remember, throughout his time here in camp, it was always Dan's defense giving Kellen or McCarthy a rough time at training camp. Well, buddy, you don't have a Dak Prescott today. You don't got a Tyler Smith. You don't got a Zach Martin. You don't got a Brandon Cooks. You know Jake Ferguson. Yeah. I would imagine this Washington defense is going to give the Cowboys offense some trouble today.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. But we were talking about how both of these teams, or coaches really, were set up for success or failure going into this offseason. And you look over in Washington, the new management, new ownership actually, new general manager, they went out and they got a gang of talented players. Granted, had a bunch of money or whatever, but teams can get money. Yeah. And they said, you know what, we're not going to look at this opportunity in year one as, we'll just be okay with the losing season, rebuild. They went out and got talent, a bunch of talent, got a coach who is a player's coach, but he went out and got some guys around him staff-wise that he believed in that could elevate these guys. Well, they also signed a bunch of Cowboy players too, Noah Brown, Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong, Tyler Biadasz. A lot of these guys are over there. Then you look over in Dallas. They didn't do anything for Mike McCarthy going into a final year of his contract and kind of essentially set him up and these players really for failure. And I think you're really seeing both of these things play out. When all of that happened in Washington, you had to kind of step back and say, man, they got a lot of good players. Yeah. And then they got the quarterback who didn't need him to be Superman, but he can make those type of plays, right? And you look at Dallas, granted injuries have happened, but even without the injuries, you're like, boy, you really were depending on your biceps and triceps and even abs, right? If you remember that commercial, you were really depending on the top part of your offense or your scheme, your team to carry you through. But what happens if they can't? What happens if you suffer injuries? What happens if it's just not good enough? And I think those two things are playing out in Washington and in Dallas right now.
No, you're absolutely right. I think Dan Quinn and the Washington Commanders, they looked at this opportunity and said, hey, we are under new leadership, right, from the top. And if we're going to come in and really do this thing, then we're doing it now, right?
We're doing it now.
We're doing it right. We're not saying we got next. We're saying we got now. Yeah. And we're going to. It all starts first with the quarterback, right? If I can get a quarterback that can go out there and perform, it gives us a chance. The Cowboys,
so we have a chance.
The Cowboys are a perfect example of that, right? Like you look at how things go with and without Dak Prescott, and feel however you want to feel about Dak. You got a chance. When he's under center or shotgun or whatever the hell you want to call it, you have a chance, right? In every single game, no matter what the coaching is, no matter what the defense looks like, if you got a quarterback, you got a fighting chance. So they looked at that and they go, well, also while we have a quarterback that's working out for us, we got him on his rookie deal. So let's go surround him. And it's not rocket science. It's simple mathematics. Is that if we put good players around other good players,
have a good team.
Good things probably are bound to happen, right? If I'm a good coach and I get good players and we put other good players around good players and we usher them into the football field, more often than not, we're probably going to have good, successful things happen for us. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think, Mike McCarthy, and I don't feel bad for coaches at any point in time because you make a ton of money, right? But he was set up with insurmountable odds. Jerry told us before he went with the whole all-in statement. He said it. He said, if and when I pay Dak, he and they will have to do more with less.
Which is a wild statement to say.
And all people heard was the all-in. You can't conveniently miss what he said there. Yeah. And he proceeded to do exactly what he said he was going to do, to allow all these starters to go away and not to fill those needs, in free agency. You knew for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years what your defensive line was, and you still didn't address those situations. You brought in Eric Kendricks and some other guys, but there was never enough to surround your other good players. You got a really good player in 88. You didn't go get other good players to put around him.
Because they rely on the top of their. They think because we talk about this. They think, we had 9 All-Pros last year. We good. That doesn't work that way. You don't carry. You're not an All-Pro year over year 9 times. Like that does not happen, man. And what happens if they don't play up to that? What happens if these guys get injured?
Or what happens when the other teams
catch up?
When Washington goes, we're coming right now. We're on our way right now. Yeah. And they look at that, and Dan Quinn is somebody who was inside the building, and he's seen how the Cowboys operate. He goes, here's what I need to do on this team to compete. Here's what I need to go out there and do. Here's where some of the areas, because I don't care what division or you're in, NFC East, NFC West, NFC, your main focus is first to build your team to win your division. First. That's the main thing. And so as coaches, they're looking around at these different teams, and for Dan Quinn, he looked around and said, here's what I'm going to need to compete against the Cowboys and the Eagles, who have kind of been the daddies of the division for the last couple of years. And he went out, and they went out as an organization that says, what do you need? And he says, I need Frankie Louvu. I need Chin. I need Fowler. I need this is what I need. They said, go get him.
Now Marshawn Lattimore, who won't be playing today, but
go get him. Go get him.
Think about that for like. Granted, they're probably in the playoffs, but not gonna make a run. But they said, you know what, damn it, let's go trade for a Pro Bowl cornerback because we feel like we got a shot.
Oh wait, there's a need. There's a need. There's an option to fill the need. Let's take the need we have and the option that's there to fill the need and actually fill it. Like this, it isn't hard. It like we're not. They can try to talk circles and word salad us to death, but the facts are there.
They're right there.
We're not living under rocks. This isn't the newspaper generation where what you tell us is fact. No, we got the internet
now, bro.
We got the internet. We can go and look at all these things. Everything now is for at our fingertips.
Yep.
So you can't just word salad us to death and think that's gonna make it, because we'll go, wait, what? Now, hold on. Oh no,
that's not how they're doing it, and they doing it, and they doing it, and they doing it, and they winning.
And you are all under the same umbrella.
Rules. The same rules apply to them too. But yeah, wait a minute now, that don't add up. And I think a lot of us have seen through it for a while. But I think what's happening now, you're starting to see the media catch up. We've been, when I say media, I mean mainstream.
Yeah,
we've seen this. We seen it. We knew about this, but the mainstream is starting to catch up with it, man. I need y'all to catch up with me today on my Cowboy Game Day Pick'em, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. That's right, it's time to play the #1 fantasy football Pick'em, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy Sports, your #1 fantasy sports platform. So, speaking of that Washington defense, they have a higher or lower on Cooper Rush, 2.5 sacks, right? And we were kind of joking about how, at halftime, we was like, hey, man, good job, offensive line. You didn't give up no sacks. You barely gave it pressures. Cooper Rush was upright. He didn't have to run and mess up my rushes, even though he did. Then the second half happened.
Yeah.
And everybody got some. Terrence, you get some. Tyler, you get some. Zach, you get some. BB, everybody just got some, and they give up 5 sacks. Dan Quinn is the coordinator over there today.
Joe Witt.
Frankie Louvu is rushing the passer a little bit, doing some Micah Parsons things. Yeah. Dante Fowler doing some things. You think Dorrance don't want to show a little something? Yeah. 2.5 sacks.
Deron Payne.
Payne is 2.5. Come on, give me the higher. Oh, come on, man.
Honestly, and this is not Jesse doing Jesse, you extra for no reason. This might happen in the first half. This might happen in the first half.
Oh, Zach Martin's out.
Yeah.
Tyler Smith is out.
Come on. Yeah. This might happen in the first half.
I don't care how you want to combine your picks. You got to have the Cooper Rush higher 2.5 sacks on it.
This might happen in the first.
Make y'all some money, man.
Half, bro.
Rico Dowdle. This one was a bit tricky because he randomly have a 70-yard day combined. 72.5 rush plus receiving yards, higher or lower. And here's why it's tricky. Believe it or not, the Washington football people's run defense is probably worse than the Cowboys, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
They're ranked 30th. They're giving up 5 yards per carry. They're at the bottom of the league in just about every rushing category. Even still, I don't believe in these boys to run the ball enough and get Rico enough, so I smashed the lower, Jesse.
What'd you say? Zach Martin's not playing.
Zach Martin's not playing.
Tyler Smith is not playing. Jake Ferguson's not playing. Yes.
Smash the lower,
smash the lower button to your finger breaks.
Yeah, I just don't feel confident.
Nothing about that screams confidence.
And it's on the road, too, so. Yeah.
And I just believe this game's going to get really out of hand really early, and they're going to be having to pass the ball a lot this day.
Yeah. And see, that's why I didn't take the yards for Cooper or the attempts.
Right.
So I'm like, if it's a blowout, then he can hit over 203 yards. I mean,
maybe not, because he'll be on the bench the second half of the game.
Hey, listen, that's something that we were teasing on the way out here. I wanted to know if you still felt that way.
I still feel that way.
And as we get ready to segue quickly into this Washington offense, Austin Eckler higher or lower than 20.5 receiving yards? Brother, that might happen on a reception.
Listen, he is my
one reception. Come on.
Yes.
Higher, dog.
Yeah, higher. Austin Eckler was my guy that I looked at all week long, and they were like, Brian Robinson and Scary Terry. I said, I said, it's going to be Austin Eckler. He is going to destroy. Well, now Scary Terry might go off.
What they did was lock up Scary Terry.
After that 1 year, I think it's rookie year.
And
he was
I don't think he had a catch.
No,
since then.
And I was like, I said the same thing all week. I was like, because we like, Scary Terry. I was like, well, Pastor Diggs he the daddy. He put that on check. But I've been saying all week, I said Austin Eckler. Yeah. He is going to be the one out of the backfield. Really good receiver, man. Good contact balance. down slippery, like a slippery dude to kind of bring down in the open field. And I just think Jaden Daniels, he's able to buy time. And just when you think you got everybody covered down the field, bloop.
Or they will draw up a nice screen to him. They do a lot of screen.
They do a lot. So that's hit the This honestly, this is easy money.
Come on, man. That's what I'm saying.
This easy money, y'all.
If this don't happen today,
this easy money.
Oh God, man! If this don't happen, the league rigged.
Yeah,
it's rigged.
This easy money, man. Like I seriously believe that this, like your picks right there.
Come on, man.
That's easy money,
Go
bro.
get you some money. Sign up for Underdog Fantasy Sports. Use the code ATOZDALLAS today. Watch them or pick them. Watch them, play them. We talk about Austin Eckler, and on the way out here, I want to bring up his offensive coordinator because, start off hot. Quarterback gets injured a little bit, not doing some of the dynamic things he did, but there are still some quality things scheme-wise that Cliff Kingsbury does. And no one usually comes after Cliff Kingsbury's offensive mind per se. Like he's been a good offensive guy wherever he's been, college, pros. He's not a good coordinator or a good head coach, but so far has shown he's a decent coordinator. Jerry Jones came out this week and he said, let me see if I can find the quote here on Cliff Kingsbury. I think a lot of him, he's a friend. I think he's done an outstanding job every place he's been. I really like him, and I think that he's ideal in working with young quarterbacks. I say that because all the great quarterbacks that he's coached, go back to Patrick Mahomes, you name them. So, yeah, that's a very, very good move for Dan and Cliff. And then earlier in that quote, he said, well, Cliff is one of those guys, if you don't play him regularly, he's a tough draw because he can come out of nowhere with some stuff that's a little unconventional. And I had a joke this past week that, well, it's only unconventional to the uninitiated. It's unconventional to you because you don't do anything unconventional at practice with your offense. So, he's uninitiated. But I say all that to say, could this be an audition game for Cliff Kingsbury in the same way that it may have been for Bobby Slowick and who was the other one with Philly, Kellen Moore? And I bring it up because that's a lot of praise for one Cliff Kingsbury. And the Cowboys could be looking for a new coordinator or new head coach. And oddly enough, he brings up unconventional. Since when do y'all like that? Because all of a sudden this thing's changing now. So your thought process on a Cliff Kingsbury potential head coach if it's paired with, say, a Robert Saleh defensive coordinator.
As a head coach, I hate it. As a head coach, I hate it. And that's the
thought process for a lot of people.
And the thing is that some people are just best as coordinators.
Yeah.
Right? Because what Cliff gets a chance to do, Cliff gets a chance to come into the building every Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, and all he thinks about is designing plays.
Focusing on offense.
Focusing on the offense. It's when you have to get into that point where, I have to walk into the building. I can't go to my office because I have to go to a staff meeting. And in this staff meeting, I have to hear from Jim Maurer and the injury report. I got to hear from Will McClay and, players. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. And now, I got to do a radio show.
Yeah.
I got to do. So now by the time he actually gets to his office to focus on that, what is the practice plan? Who not playing? I got to deal with this, and this. So I don't get a chance. I'm 7-8 hours into my day, and I've not gotten a chance yet to dig into this offense and how I want to present it.
It's fair.
And so all those things at times can be a distracting deterrent for a guy like Cliff Kingsbury. When you
didn't fare well last time he was a head coach.
No, he didn't. At any level. At any level. He didn't win well. He didn't win at any level.
At Texas Tech.
He didn't win at any level. And so for him, I think, yes, an audition, 100%. I don't think it's an audition for us. Now,
the rest of the league.
For the rest of the league.
Fair.
Now, you missed your window because this quarterback, this OC and this head coach combination could have been this year. You missed that window because you said it. You said it earlier. You said, why set this man up for failure when you could have just been done with it last year? Brought a guy like, if you wanted to make Dan Quinn the head coach,
and then he would have brought in Cliff.
He would have brought in Cliff. But I don't. Cliff Kingsbury as my head coach, I don't like the idea at all. But yes, it's an audition because all eyes are going to be on the Cowboys today, and you get a chance to showcase yourself. And on top of that, I know we're getting a little long. And on top of that, you always have the thing where if you want to get interest from other teams, just say the Cowboys are interested.
Well, that's going to happen. That's one. Every coach that is available this offseason, 100% their agent will say the Cowboys.
The Cowboys interested. Yeah.
All right, man. We on the way out. We got a couple seconds to the Cowboys kickoff. Is this going to be the game we finally get Trey Lance to set up the Thanksgiving Day? Trey versus DeVito. Honestly, it'd be more excited to see that than anything.
Listen, y'all. I am not getting off this train.
If this happens, fam,
I'm not getting off this train.
I need the lottery.
I'm not getting off this train. You're going to see Cooper Rush take an absolute beating in this game in the first half. They will make a switch either at halftime or the third quarter. You will insert Trey Lance. He'll do whatever Trey Lance does. And then you will hear the announcement come next week that, you know what, hey, we're going to go with Trey Lance in the Thanksgiving game because we want to see what he has as we are going. We want to evaluate some of these guys in our roster and how it's going to look forward. Yes, I am not getting off this. I am not getting off this. And everything is going according to plan.
They sound like Stephen A. I hate that because everything is going according to plan. We're going to see you at halftime. It's been Cowboy Game Day Live, the pregame show.